hopefully, right on time with an announcement. But hopefully, if we talk, then hopefully somebody will let us know that you can hear us. If you're watching this on playback, then hello. Apologies, you're going to have to put up with 30 seconds of Laura and I awkwardly filling time until we make sure that everyone can actually hear what we're doing. So
I would say is I've really caught a tan this week.
you've seen the sun.
I'm pleased with that.
I'm just looking the same as what I did this time last week. Great. So are we loading on here?
Yes, we
What
are.
we're trying to do today, guys, is usually you'll remember that I always apologise to you because my finger repeatedly goes like this and scrolls up the screen in front of you. So today what we're doing is we're going to load another phone which will hopefully have us on it, and we're going to set it here to get through your comments in a bit more of a normal, less panicked way. I saw a message.
How do I get to it?
Literally just click into there, and then it'll come up and we'll be able to jump through. So
I'm not a YouTube expert.
yeah, why was this not done prior to going live, I hear you ask? Well, I was trying to frantically run along the furniture with lots of, so jump in there and then just mute us, or this is going to get very confusing very, very quickly. But anyway, guys, so we're a minute and a half in, so we probably should actually talk about where we are, what we're doing. So we are currently on board Costa Toscana, which anybody that isn't aware, that's the brand new ship from Costa Cruises. So this is actually their flagship. Now they've got two types of ship that fall into this class. So you've got Smeralda, which is the ship that I came to you live from last week, a week and a half ago. I remember having terrible Wi-Fi issues or internet issues on the top deck. We're hoping that's not going to continue here because we've got pretty good 5G at the moment. So, well, Exhibit A. I think we're going to have to go back to the old finger scrolling approach. So yeah, we might connect here, we might not. It looks as though it is going to go, but just slowly. Now, this week we have been cruising around Italy. Well, we got on in Spain. We then headed over to Italy, and right now we are coming to you from France. Can we see the Hollywood sign? If you slide one side. Slide a bit more. Keep on sliding.
They just eject me from
You get off the screen. I actually don't think you can. No, you can't. So behind us at the moment, you may re-enter. There is a sign that says Marseille somewhere back there. But anyway, we are in the port of Marseille in the south of France, and we are leaving today at 6 o'clock. So our time now is 3:30. So we're probably going to be with you guys for... I don't know, we've given up on the phone, so yeah, my finger's about to reach over to see who's here. But yeah, so we are leaving here 6 o'clock. We'll probably be on here, what, half an hour or so? Oh. Yeah, so if you click. Sorry guys, bear with us. Let's click.
Oh, I'm very professional.
Let's click on that, and hopefully we should get some comments. Amazing, here we are. So, Daniel, hello.
Hello, Daniel.
Welcome. There's my mother.
Hello, Fraser's mum.
Hello, Mum. Lovely to see you. I hope you're delighted because, well, in approximately 2 weeks, I'm looking at you for confirmation of my travel plans. 2 weeks, I'm heading back to Scotland, so that's going to be a treat for all. Lindsay and Mark, hi Fraser, nice to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic time. I'm having a fantastic time.
I'm having a great time.
I trust you are as well.
I've been having the best time I've had this week. Maybe we should cover that subject. What's the best your best part of the week?
We're making the questions. Best part of my week. Best part of my week. I should say spending time with my really good friend, but I think it would have to be the pizza.
I was going to say the pizza as well.
Like, genuinely my favourite thing on a Costa ship is the pizza, because it's like that really nice, like, would you call it wood fired? Like, it's in like the actual pizza oven. So I've stolen that one. What would your highlight be? Other than cruising with me.
Do you know, it's not about, we weren't on the ship at the time. Is that allowed to say, or do I have to give a ship one?
No, I think you're allowed.
My favourite.
I'm excited to see where this is going though, because we just walked around Barcelona.
The tapas on the first night in Barcelona.
Oh, yes. Okay, so we found this little tapas place. Well, I found it last week and then took Laura back this week. But basically, the way that we stumbled upon it was a really, really highly recommended one on one side of the street. And every single time we tried to get in, it was so busy, wasn't it? It was ridiculous. And there happened to be a place across the road which also had quite good reviews. We tried to get in there and they said, no, we're full. But actually, if you have dinner at the bar next door, we serve our food in that bar. So we went up. interesting location. There's some, very interesting stores around. You're literally having dinner on the street beside the bins across from an adult store and underneath a building that looks Gaudi inspired.
Really cracking for people watching.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic people watching opportunities. But yeah, the food was excellent, wasn't it? So yeah, so your favourite thing has been was that the first? That was the first night, wasn't it? Because you flew in the morning. So, Lindsay and Mark, so far, which of the cruise ships you've been on in 2020? I think I've read that wrong. So far, which of the cruise ships you've been on so far in 2023 would you be most happy to go back on, and why? Good question. And do you know why that was a good question, guys? Because Laura and I had this conversation about an hour ago, because we were sitting on the other side of the ship, and World Europa and Costa Diadema have both joined us today, which was my first ship this year and my second ship this year, I think. Again, not sure why I'm looking at you to confirm that, but that was my first and second ship. So I think, to be honest, the ship that I would be most happy to return to, I think it would be Costa Diadema, because I knew that would catch you off guard. So what I found was that World Europa, for example, I had a great time on that for the first probably 2 weeks. And then when we entered Europe, it got so busy so quickly. There was people everywhere. And even like seeing pictures on World Europa now, that top deck looks busy. And like on the Costa ships, it's been totally fine on the top deck. But on Diadema, it was, I don't know if it was the itinerary that we did, but so I did like the Canary Islands and then like Cadiz and Malaga and those kind of ports. I think I look very favourably on that ship because the ports were so new, the Costa experience was so new, the crew on that ship are absolutely brilliant. Like I loved a lot of parts of Diadema. So it would either be that or Symphony of the Seas. Forgot that one.
Yeah, I thought you'd have gone with that.
Yeah, I'm now going to repeatedly say ships and fill the next 50 minutes telling you where I've been.
You just do that and I'll get some more questions.
In other words, you just continue chatting a lot of nonsense. So yeah, either Diadema or Symphony of the Seas, I think. We've got 22...
This is annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, your hand's not in an ideal location. We've got 23 of you live with us, so thank you so much for giving us some of your Saturday morning or your Saturday afternoon.
Hello,
Drop a little comment and let us know where you are.
Brought the sun to
Do you want me
Yorkshire.
to get it?
Yeah, I can't do it. Lovely that you're in Yorkshire.
Heather, it's also good that you've managed to join us. So Heather tried to join a couple of my lives, but I can't remember where you... I think the notification just didn't come up or something, so it was good to see you, Heather. Thank you for coming in. Daniel, 5 likes and 14 watch. Yeah, if you are tuned in, it would be amazing if you could hit the little thumbs up button down below. Daniel, what's your favourite ship of all time? So, just before I answer that, let's just run through how we're going to work today. So, we are with you for a bit. It would be brilliant if you've got any questions, anything you want to know about Laura or I, or the cruises Laura's been on, the cruises I've been on, the cruises Laura's planning to go on. I want to know about that. We haven't really explored that. Or anything and everything, please feel free to pop it on. As you can see, we are currently live on a ship. So yeah, as I said a minute ago, our hands are going to be like this, trying to control comments from time to time. So please just put the word question on your comment, and then it'll just help us see it as we're scrolling through. That would be brilliant. What was Daniel's question there?
Favourite ship of all time.
Do you know what? My best ship of all time, I think it would be Norwegian Escape for me, because anyone that's asked me that question before will be so fed up with my answer, but that ship to me is really sentimental because it was my first ever ship. It's the first time I cruised solo. It was the first time I'd been to the Caribbean. There was a lot of firsts on that ship, and yeah, I think that would probably be mine, but the itinerary that I did on Norwegian Escape wouldn't be my favourite itinerary. I'm maybe teeing up another question there, so let's hold fire on that. But you've done we should actually introduce you in a minute actually, but you've done some very different cruises to me, so what would your favourite be?
But my answer is going to make me sound like a seasoned cruiser.
Which we'll come back and
which is factually incorrect. This is my 5th cruise, 4 of which have been... No, only 3 with you, and I've done 5.
Yeah.
So my 2 favourites, and it's very, very hard to choose between, would either be Discovery Princess to Alaska, which was with Fraser.
Is that our first cruise? No, that was our second cruise together.
Belfast and Liverpool was the first.
Lest we forget the Belfast cruise.
So it would either be Discovery Princess. It was a brand new ship. It had only been, on the water, sailing. It had only been going literally weeks, so everything was wonderful. I really enjoyed cruising with Princess.
Yeah.
And the itinerary was amazing, like to be in the mountains in Alaska, sailing through the glaciers was great.
So is that your favourite ship then, Discovery Princess?
Or it would be the QM2 Transatlantic.
I don't know if you've done 5 cruises, if you're allowed a double favourite. I'll allow it so that we don't fall out live on camera.
It's impossible to choose between them because the QM2, there was no ports. It was just 7 nights on the sea because it was a transatlantic from New York to Southampton.
What was that, 7 nights? You got on at one, off at the other and didn't get off, so that's like the traditional transatlantic.
The traditional transatlantic and the Cunard experience, especially on the QM2, is just so different to any other cruise that it's hard to compare it.
Yeah.
So if we're talking traditional cruise ships, it would be Discovery Princess without... I mean, technically, the QM2 is an ocean liner.
Correct.
So if we're going to go on to technicalities, my favourite cruise ship would be Discovery Princess.
Okay. Maybe... Maybe we come back and talk about QM2 shortly, because I'm going on there later this year. And you've got loads of information on that.
On
the QM2?
No, there's another one. It was advice on Fred Olsen cruises. Have you ever cruised with Fred?
So...
It was from Heather. Go down a bit.
Heather. Oh, first of all, Tina, you have joined us. So Tina actually messaged me on Instagram last night. Great. Here we go. So Tina, I'm glad that you got home from work, so hello. There's going to be quite a few announcements going on, but we're hoping that our microphones are going to take our voices rather than that. So one of the things with a Costa ship is that you can embark or disembark at any port. So if someone could just let us know if you can hear us while that's going, that would be brilliant. But that announcement is basically just letting people know that came on today that they have to go to like an embarkation meeting. So please don't think that we're here ignoring all of the announcements. I think we've just heard the same ones
many times every day.
For what, 5 entire days now? So
we can still hear you fine.
Amazing.
Thank you, sweet natured.
Thank you, Lindsay.
So it's that one there.
So, Heather, question. We're just about to book a 2-night tasting in Fred Olsen after New Year. Liverpool to Southampton.
Well, we know that route very well.
We actually did that route over a total of, about 4 nights immediately post-COVID.
Yeah.
Liverpool, Southampton, are you planning a Fred trip? So, I was planning a Fred trip, but unfortunately the time I'm in the UK in July, I'm actually going on holiday. Dare I say it, but I'm actually going on holiday to Spain for a week, and that would have coincided almost perfectly with the Fred trip that I was looking at booking. So I don't have a Fred trip planned. Their ships do look absolutely beautiful though. Which ship are you on, Heather? Because maybe if anybody else in the chat has been on Fred, they can maybe help you out with that. I know that Cruise Mummy, if you don't follow her, then give her a search, because she was recently on, I feel as though it was maybe only a 1 night that she did, or it might have been the 2, from maybe even from the same ports. So she's on Instagram, but she's also on YouTube. So search just Cruise Mummy. If you type that in, it'll all come up. And she should be able to help you out. So apologies that I can't offer you any Fred advice. I would love to. Yeah. So unfortunately, you've also not done Fred, have you?
No.
No. Now, just before we actually jump into any other questions, given the fact that we're now approaching 14 minutes in, we probably should introduce the person on Fraser at Sea who's not Fraser at Sea. Granted, you are actually at sea.
I am at sea.
But over to you. Who are you and why are you here?
Oh, well, so I'm here because I've known Fraser for the last... We got to know each other through work. We work at the same place. And
like 5 years ago?
2016, January 2016.
Wow.
That's 7 years.
More than double.
Yeah.
I think that is 7.
7 years. So we worked together then, and at that point we were both responsible for different parts of the country in our job. And then we ended up both relocating and both coincidentally living in the same part of the UK.
About 10 streets apart.
About 10 streets. I moved there first, and he
here
followed.
We go. I knew this was going to come up. Basically, I heard the call and followed is what we're trying to say.
Yeah. So anyway, now we live a 10-minute walk away from each other, and my first ever cruise was a cruise around Crimea with my mother in 2012. 2012 or maybe 2012 it was.
It was on a Thomson ship, was it?
It was something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And at the time, I'd got a few days' notice for having some time off work, and I went to the travel agent and said I need a week's holiday, Saturday to Saturday, and they said we can give you a week in Zante, which I wouldn't want to go to with anybody, never mind my mother, or a cruise around Crimea. So off we went, and we went to the Ukraine, Turkey, Bulgaria. No, it wasn't Bulgaria. Romania, somewhere else that I've forgotten. And it was it didn't leave much of a lasting impression. Then I met Fraser. He got really into cruises.
And then we arrived.
And then it was COVID. And then we went on our first post-COVID cruise to Belfast.
And Liverpool. Yeah, which was excellent. So that was on Celebrity Silhouette, and that's where you found a new appreciation. Let's not say fell in love with cruises, but you found a new appreciation.
No, if you were to know more about me, you would know that cruises wouldn't traditionally be my thing.
No. I'd rather be in a hole in the middle of the woods.
Oh. I like to camp and hike and be in the mountains and not be around people and
which is not the environment we're currently in.
Which is not what a cruise ship is like. But there's a time and a place for my one annual cruise a year with Fraser.
Yeah.
Which here it is.
Yeah, which here we are. So, yeah, total cruises then. So you've done the undisclosed, potentially Thomson, but we'll not discuss that one too much.
In Crimea.
You've then done Celebrity.
I did Celebrity Silhouette from Southampton to Belfast and Liverpool.
And that was 6 nights, 7 nights?
7 nights.
You then did Alaska?
7 nights, Discovery Princess from Seattle, Washington to Alaska up the Inside Passage, which I would recommend to anybody. But if you have got a disposition for travel sickness, I'd recommend seeking medical advice from your doctor in advance. I didn't and regretted it.
That was so funny. I was completely fine, cracking on with the buffet as per expectations, and you were the opposite of okay.
Completely incapacitated for a full 24 hours.
Yeah, that didn't go well. And then transatlantic, and then that brings us to here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. So, in First Live.
Yeah.
First Live, which started questionably, but I think we're now settled and I think we're going. This is probably the longest that we've gone without my signal dropping and then me frantically running to a new location to try and reconnect. Daniel, the QM2 is the only ocean liner. She departed Southampton, yes. I actually didn't know she was the only ocean liner.
So I did know she was the only ocean liner. I've got a lot.
Oh yeah, you should tell that story.
I have a lot of available facts regarding the QM2, and the reason
How
is.
did you get those facts? Did you meet anyone on the ship?
I'm gonna let you know.
Oh, great, I look forward to that.
When you're on a 7-night transatlantic, there's no ports, obviously, unless you stop at the Azores, which is an archipelago.
Would they do that on a 7?
Mm-hmm.
Don't say archipelago. Archipelago. That's the name of a restaurant on here, and we have been back and forth many times on how to actually say
I think it's archipelago or archipelago. Either way, I like to believe it's a tomato thing. It
Either way, on a transatlantic, you might stop at the Azores.
You could stop at the Azores, which is wonderful. And I actually went on holiday there earlier this year, not on a cruise. Anyway, so because there's not much to do, Cunard put on a huge amount of lectures. I lost about 3 hours a day every day to lectures, and they were fascinating. They're on a whole host of topics, and they often have lecturers who'll do multiple throughout the week, so their lecture could be 3 hours long, but each in a 1 hour sitting. And so one of the series of lectures while we were on was a guy called Dr. Stephen Payne, who was actually the chief naval architect building the QM2 20-something years ago. And so he did this whole series of lectures on why it is the way it is and all of the kind of secrets of building it, and it was completely fascinating. And then we also got the opportunity we ended up sitting next to him at dinner, and so got to chat with him outside of lectures, and he was a wonderful man, super nice to talk to, and we learnt loads about the QM2. One of the many facts being that it is the only ocean liner in service in the world.
Yeah. So you actually you know way more about that ship than what I ever will.
I know more about that ship than any ship, and probably any ship. I can't imagine me ever learning that much. And there was another fascinating series of lectures. So they had the creative director, the Cunard, I don't know when it's launched actually, the Queen Anne is their new ship.
Oh, that's right.
Is it launched
Quite
now?
a few of these guys will be booked on Queen Anne. No, I think she's only just got her funnel put on. So no, it's quite a while away yet.
So anyway, there was the creative director who's responsible for designing all of the interiors of the QM of Queen Anne.
Please don't give away any secrets here to the point where we get into trouble.
Oh no, I won't. Well, they showed us pictures. It was brilliant.
Oh.
Like actual pictures of what it's going to look like.
Cool. Does it look good?
So some of them are like press images that you would be able to Google and find, but some of them were secret. They might not be secret anymore. This was like 6 months ago now.
Okay.
But that was a fascinating series of lectures. So if you enjoy that kind of thing, Cunard lectures, would really recommend.
Yeah, that's cool. So Lindsay and Mark are asking what are the next few cruises that you've got lined up. So I think that's a relatively easy answer for you. Do you have any lined up?
Me? No.
No, a couple of land holidays.
I could tell you about the holidays. Oh, I'm going to tell you about the next holiday I've got lined up.
Great. Buckle up, everyone. Over to you.
So it's on the ocean.
So it is.
So I am going to do a 2-week course to get my day skipper qualification, which means I'll be able to charter a sailing yacht.
So watch this space because I may vlog life as a passenger on board Laura's sailing yacht. There will be limited, in fact not limited, there will be no manual labour taking place from me because...
No.
Can't really be bothered if I'm perfectly... But
you don't get seasick, so you'll be down in the galley making snacks, beverages.
Snacks. Great, what a treat.
And I will sail the ocean.
what a dream come true. So, Lindsay, Mark, my upcoming cruises. So, I have got... What have I got lined up? I've actually only got one more left of this little stint. So, the way that my...
That is a gross misrepresentation of what's lined up.
Well, bear with me. Bear with me. Basically, my whole year, right, is taking place in 3 chunks. So, chunk number 1, which is the chunk that is coming to an end, is the Middle East into and then all around the Med. Chunk number 2 is going to be the Pacific, Mexican Riviera, Panama Canal, Caribbean, and Canada. And then chunk number 3 is going to be a lot of the Caribbean, plus a couple of transatlantics, which, yeah, I cannot wait. I actually can't wait for all of them, do you know that? But that last chunk in particular, I'm really looking forward to. Now, my next ships that I've got lined up, so I am rejoining Royal Caribbean on a very different ship, a much older ship, in about a week and a half's time. So basically, when I leave here, I will then begin the journey to Israel, which, I mean, I'm a little bit nervous about the journey to Israel, if I'm perfectly honest with you, because there's a lot of things that kind of don't really work at the moment. For example, my flight leaves Barcelona at 11:30 p.m. and I land into Tel Aviv at 4 a.m. And then, yeah, I then need to figure out how to get to Haifa, which is like an hour away. I probably shouldn't talk about all the unknowns on here, given the fact that my mum is watching and is probably preparing to pull her hair out. But yeah, so in about 4 days after leaving here, I'll begin the journey to Israel, probably spend a night at the airport, and then I'll be cruising for 7 nights out of Haifa, around the Greek islands, and heading up to Athens as well, which I'm so excited for that one. I'm a wee bit nervous about that. Mark, Lindsay, I think you were in Greece recently, actually, on Resilient, if I've got that right. But the reason why I'm a bit nervous about that itinerary is that I think those islands are going to be so busy. Like, you know, on Instagram and TikTok, when you look at it and you see the really, really beautiful pictures and the videos of, like, the water lapping up on the bar and everyone sitting having lunch, in my mind it's going to be really chaotic. And I, right now, haven't booked anything for any of the islands. So, yeah, I think we go to, like, Santorini, Mykonos, Athens, Limassol down in Cyprus. So there's quite a few. Daniel, nope. Nearly, but nope. So, yeah, I'm going to be on one of the oldest Royal Caribbean ships, actually. Now, after that is when I'm going back to the UK. So I'll go back for about a week, and then I'll be spending a week in Spain, just on a, to be honest, very chilled holiday in the sunshine for a week. And then after that, I've got a good bit of family time up in Scotland, which I'm really looking forward to, before heading off to Los Angeles at the start of August. So out of LA, I've then got Royal Caribbean down to Mexico. I've then got, what's the other one? Carnival down to other parts of Mexico. And then after that, I'll join Cunard for the Queen Elizabeth relocation from Los Angeles over to Florida. I think she's actually in the process of relocating all the way over to like Lisbon, but I'll then be getting off to do some more Caribbean before heading up to do New York. So yeah, I actually have to pinch myself every time someone asks that question and I talk about that, because to be honest, none of it even feels real yet. It's still kind of, very odd, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of a flavour of the kind of things that I've got lined up. And over the next couple of weeks, I will do an updated video to talk to you more about my itinerary, how it's panning out, the changes I've had to make as I've gone. I say that, and Jan, my travel agent, is probably looking at this thinking, right, I'd like to vet that video before it goes out. Stephen, hi Fraser, Laura. Oh, so Stephen lives in Scotland actually. 30 degrees in air right now, presumably they'll be flying pigs directly. So it's funny you say that, because the village that we live in England is also 30 degrees. And, I mean, I can't even imagine 30-degree heat in a country with no aircon.
No, it'd be warm.
Yeah. The plus side to Ayr, though, is that you've got the beach there. So, yeah, I hope, Stephen, that you're coming to us from Ayr Beach, or you've shot in the car and driven up to Troon. I think my parents were at Troon. In fact, I think they were at Ayr Beach with the dog last week, and they found a massive jellyfish there, which gave me the fear of God getting in the sea here, until I was in, and then I was absolutely
frolicking around like
a fish. Tina, question, in answer to the Fred Olsen, travel blog Jamie has just done a couple of nights Southampton to Liverpool. So he has actually, yes, he's one of the other ones that's been on recently. So yeah, if you check for Jamie, he's got some good content on there as well. Daniel, QM2's got the original foghorn from the Queen Mary. She has custom props nicknamed cap and cufflinks. Did you know that? Mm. You knew about the foghorn?
Mm-hmm. It was featured in Stephen Payne's lecture series, yeah.
Cool. Daniel, would you sail on P&O, Iona or Arvia? So I was very close to booking P&O Iona. So actually, we were talking about Iona and Arvia because that's the same type of ship as this. So basically, when Carnival Group ordered these ships, they sent a couple over to Costa, they sent a couple over to P&O. So for P&O, they've been branded as P&O Iona and also Arvia. And for Costa, they've been branded as Smeralda and then Toscana, which is the one that we're on right now. Now, would I cruise on Iona? Well, I mean, yes, I was going to. So I was going to cruise Iona to Norway, but when I mentioned earlier about that Fred readjustment, the Spain week has also readjusted Iona. So yeah, I would, but I can't this year, unfortunately. Those ships look amazing. So they've got, I don't know where it would be on here. I think it must be where the adult pool is on here. They've got this big sky dome, and they do acrobats and all that in there at night, and it looks amazing. But no, I would like to, Daniel, but unfortunately this year I don't have anything booked. Would you cruise on this ship again? It's big, isn't it?
No, I wouldn't.
Too big?
Not necessarily the size.
Remember, not just this ship being Costa, but just this kind of style of ship.
I think for the right itinerary, yes.
Depending where it's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny one. So I think, I like this. I mean, I just love the mega ships. So yeah, I probably would go on Iona, but not this year, unfortunately. So Lindsay and Mark were in Athens on Resilient. Okay, fine. I thought you went round the Greek islands. In fact, Lindsay and Mark, please don't take offence to this. Lindsay and Mark were the couple that I was telling you all about last night at dinner.
I should have heard what he was saying.
So Lindsay jumped in the pool on Scarlet Night wearing that red dress, which I haven't seen the video of that yet. I'm really, really hoping that is going to appear at some point. But yeah, haven't seen it yet, and maybe I'll have to do the same when I'm on Valiant later this year. Maybe not in a red dress. I'm not sure if that would get the hits or if that would kill it on here, me in a red dress. So, Carol, is it Rhapsody of the Seas? Yes. Well, yes, very well done. So I'm joining Rhapsody next, which is very, very different to Symphony. So I was on Symphony 2 weeks ago, and that's obviously brand new, it's obviously massive, and I'm heading now to join Rhapsody, which should be a very different experience. I watched a video this week, which, I think I was telling you all about it the other day as well, where Rhapsody was ranked 19th out of however many royal ships. So I am very interested to see if I agree, because sometimes I really, really do enjoy the smaller ships, and I think for that type of itinerary, the smaller ships will be better. Tina, question: has your sister had her baby yet? Oh, what that? Do you know what? That is the loveliest question that anyone has asked on here. No, she hasn't yet. So Nicola is due in July. I think it's like the middle week of July she's due. So we don't know what the baby's going to be. Might be a boy, might be a girl. All that is absolutely certain is that its first holiday will be on a cruise ship. Nicola, if you watch this later, then we'll discuss this in due course. Don't leave a comment on the video. But yes, watch this space for Fraser and Baby at Sea. A future vlog episode coming up very soon. But no, so she's due mid-July, which kind of coincides, you know, with me heading back to Scotland for a bit. So yeah, very excited for that. And I will become an uncle for the first time. Juliana, hi guys, how's the weather for a Northern European cruise in March? Germany, Amsterdam, etc. On MSC Euribia. Right, this is like the new version of Virtuosa that's just about to launch. So around March time, have you done like Amsterdam and things? Like Hamburg?
Do you know what?
Maybe?
Actually, I have.
You have?
Yeah.
How have you found the weather?
I don't. I mean.
Is that a work trip?
Suboptimal. It was a work trip, and it was rainy and cold.
Yeah.
I don't know how to jazz it up for you.
Yeah, your Northern Europe weather might be similar. If you're doing Euribia and it's the northern cities that you're doing, then it's potentially going to be similar weather, but a good bit warmer than what I had at New Year, because I did those exact ports on Virtuosa at New Year this year. What I would say is that, who asked that question? Was it Juliana? Yeah, Juliana, what I would say is that I'm not sure where you're coming from. Maybe while I talk, tell me where you're coming from. But if you're coming from the UK, then I would probably expect similar. Yeah, pretty similar weather to what you get in the UK. You're probably going to get a bit. Yeah, I mean, you're probably going to need jeans and a jumper anyway.
I'd really recommend a brolly.
Yeah, probably really recommend a waterproof jacket, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, you never know. Sometimes in March it can be pretty mild and it can be nice. But yeah, what I would say with that is the ship that you're going on is actually a really good ship to do a colder weather itinerary on. So I did Norway on Virtuosa, which is like the same ship, and then also being on Virtuosa for New Year. There's a lot going on inside that ship, and it's also got, I haven't seen the deck plan for it yet actually, but if it is the same deck plan as Virtuosa, then it's got a really lovely indoor pool setup. So yeah, you should have plenty that you can do inside. Juliana, you're in New York. That is a long journey to take for, would it be similar to New York? It probably wouldn't be too different, really.
It wouldn't be too dissimilar.
You're probably on the same, here's me, the geographer, the geologist, or whatever you'd call it. The same, what's that line that runs horizontal across the Earth?
Latitude or longitude?
Yeah, you're on the same line as those kind of places. So yeah, I wouldn't imagine it would be too different to what you guys have got. New York, you maybe get it a wee bit more extreme, but it's going to be beginning to enter springtime anyway if you're going to the end of March. But yeah, definitely take trousers, definitely take jackets, definitely take jumpers, but maybe throw a pair of shorts or two in there just in the off chance that you get an absolute
Juliana, I would suggest that would be optimistic.
Yeah, or I mean, take a poncho. Take a poncho is my absolute top tip for that one. So yeah, Euribia, I really wanted to cruise on Euribia actually, but again, just haven't had the time. Lindsay and Mark, it'll appear soon. You can see a bit of it in last week's packing guide. Oh, that's annoying. I watched the packing guide as well, and I didn't see it. I'm going to have to go back and watch it again. Yeah, so anyone else, if you've got any questions, then please feel free to fire them on. Now, one thing that we did want to walk you through while we were with you was like a lot of the old paper Oggy
Bordeaux. Copy of the Oggy Bordeaux.
So I've had loads of questions coming in just about how life works on a Costa cruise, because I was really, really vocal about the fact that, well, certainly in my vlogs I am anyway, but they haven't gone live yet for you guys. But one thing that I was really concerned about getting on a Costa cruise is the fact that English isn't the primary language. I'd heard it was pretty different to a normal cruise, and I'd heard it could be a bit more difficult to, I guess, navigate your way around the ship and figure out what's on at any point in time. Now, do you want to give a quick overview of the Oggy Bordeaux? I can't wait to see where this is going. This document has been our absolute holy grail for the last week.
So this is the paper copy of the Oggi Bordeaux, your compass on board a Costa ship. First tip would be, don't follow this, follow the app, because this is sometimes incorrect and the app is usually correct.
Not all of the time. We've had it twice where we've turned up at a venue and the show has been wrong.
But one of those resulted in us sitting in the most prominent seat, right in front of the stage, for 45 minutes listening to an entire performance of singing entirely in Italian.
Yeah.
So that wasn't, and we thought we were getting
even the
very,
spoken bits
very
were in
different.
Italian. We thought we were getting a dance troupe to do a show.
Which is on tonight. The show that we thought we were going to get is tonight.
Well, going by the paper Oggi Bordeaux.
Going by the paper Oggi Bordeaux. I'm trusted.
So who knows? We might show you a clip of the dance troupe tonight.
CCBDT and Rock the Latin.
But this is, all joking aside, it's a really useful document. The way that it works, so on the front here, it basically shows you where you are and then all of your details for the day. So we've got, okay, fine, we're in Marseille, when will we arrive, when will all aboard be, and when will we leave? You've then got, if you show that little section at the bottom,
that's
actually.
Nice. I didn't know this.
You didn't know this.
I don't
You didn't know this. After 5 days on the ship, what are we about to learn?
What I would suggest that when you cruise with Fraser, you don't need to learn the layout of the ship, you don't need to read any documentation, you don't need to prepare in any way, you just turn up and follow him around.
Are you about to confirm to everyone that you didn't know what's been on the front page of the Oggi Bordeaux every time? You're going to talk about the highlights, aren't you?
No, I'm going to do the Did You Know.
Oh, great. Okay, well, in that case, I will allow that.
Everyone. Did you know, because this is something that bothers me about the cruise industry, it's waste in general. Did you know that Anita meals are put to good use? For years now, in every port we call at, we've been donating food to local communities to help people who need it most. Yeah. But let's all try to not order too much.
See, I like that because
really like that.
We were talking the other day about in the buffet here, they've still kept like the COVID procedures in place where all the food is screened off and you ask someone behind to serve it on your plate for you. Now, the thing that I think is good about that is that it stops people taking huge amounts of one thing, the way that you see on some ships, and then leaving loads of it. We haven't seen a lot of plates in the buffet that are still piled high with food when people leave.
No.
So I think they are doing a good job with that.
Yeah, and also the food. So as a general rule, I like to eat healthy, with some exceptions.
Yeah,
the ice cream bar,
old pizza,
cake,
the old ice cream bar.
Pizza. A lot of what we've eaten this week. But on some cruise ships, I found it overwhelming that it's just
like difficult to do it at times.
it's difficult to eat healthy because everything is so rich, so fried, etc. Whereas the food on this has been wonderful, and I think it
we've had
caters
this
for all
conversation
tastes.
like 3 times. Like we're so impressed with it because like the food, like the way I would say it's not the most Instagrammable food, but it's really, really, really tasty. It kind of feels like sometimes it feels like you're eating food that you're making at home.
Yeah, but you can still get. I mean, when you eat in the main dining rooms and speciality, it's incredible food. But the buffet, really, really good. I mean, buffets are never that Instagrammable when you're just slopping stuff on your plate. But really good quality, and I think
it's difficult to be unhealthy on here.
It is quite hard.
Yeah,
we've tried.
We started strong. So the first night we immediately made our way to the chip bar, which is up by the pool, where you have to buy things like chips and burgers and things on here. But I mean, after that, we actually started behaving and we discovered the salad bar, which is included in your fare.
Doesn't have a Caesar dressing though.
Correct.
And on every cruise I go on, I eat a lot of Caesar salads, some sort of like oil and balsamic vinaigrette, I would say, like a French one.
So just before we lose you, because you look like you're in the depths of the Oggi Bordeaux.
I'm reading this for the first time today. It's currently 4:10, and I've just taken it upon myself to look at the schedule.
So Laura, what is on the inside of the Oggi Bordeaux?
All your activities on board. Really
and here we go, we're back on track. So over to you, Laura, show us the Oggi Bordeaux.
Really conveniently laid out. It puts the highlights in yellow, as you can see here, and the highlights tend to be the big shows that evening, and then the evening party. So we've got interestingly, 2 dance troupes today are the shows, one at 7:30, one at 8:15. God, this is going to be challenging to get.
It's going to be a big night.
Yeah, most shows are on twice, and then the party tonight is a Latin night. We observed the white party on the first night.
We did, that feels like ages ago.
I like to be in bed by 11 p.m. I'm not really a party animal.
The parties on here start at midnight.
But if you are a party animal and you do want to have a drink, have a dance, stay up late, awful. But if you wanted to do that, Costa would be, of all the cruises I've been on, it's the most
best
party ship, I would say.
Yeah, like if you want a party, these ships are
They're going to
amazing
deliver it
for you.
again and again.
Like a very
every
European party every single night.
Um,
So then you've got the dress code down here, which we'll talk about dress code separately. And then up here you've got information for going ashore.
Yeah, stuff that you need, what the excursions are. It's really convenient. I would say just cruise with Fraser and then you don't need to bother learning these things. Oh, there's more questions. Oh no, we've done that one.
Cruise with Fraser. I look forward to publishing my itinerary and see if anyone would like to join me. Susie, which is the best ship for solo cruisers regarding meetups, etc.? Do you know, I wish I could tell you that they're all amazing for solo cruisers, but unfortunately it's just not true. So, for example, I've now spent the last 5 weeks, I think, on Costa ships, and other than one ship where I had dinner on the first night with another solo, I actually haven't had any solo things on here. There's no solo meetups, there's nothing that would suggest they're accommodating solos yet, which is unfortunate. I don't know if it's because so many people speak so many different languages, but on MSC, for example, you eat dinner with solos, there's a meetup every night. But the company that I would say, or the cruise line rather, that I would say is best for solos would be Norwegian, because they actually have that solo studio concept. Now, I'm cruising back on Norwegian Escape actually in September this year, and the big benefit to Norwegian is that all the solo cabins are in a very locked off exclusive part of the ship that you can only get into if you've got a card and if you're staying in one of those one person cabins. Now the other thing that you've got access to is you've then got a studio lounge, which is like, it's not a bar, but it's like a kind of buffet lounge area where you can go and relax, and you can only get in there if you're a solo traveller. Now before I went on a Norwegian cruise, I definitely felt a wee bit awkward about that, because I thought, like, what's the vibe going to be like if everyone in there's on their own? Like, is it going to be, just not what I'm looking for? Because personally, I think there's a massive difference, and I'm a huge advocate of the fact that a single traveller and a solo traveller aren't the same thing. So I think it's really important to just remember we're talking about solo travelling right now. I think there are cruise lines.
Can I ask a question?
I dread to think what's coming here, but yeah, you can.
How would you define a solo traveller versus a single traveller?
Good question. So for me, a single traveller, if you're going to a single traveller meetup, so Royal Caribbean, for example, they had a single and solo meetup. So a solo traveller meetup would be what I would consider myself to be on a cruise ship, where you're on the ship, you're not necessarily looking to connect.
This is going down a dangerous road.
With people in that respect. But a single traveller may look to go to, for example, speed dating, which happens on a lot of ships. So I think if you're looking at single speed dating, then that to me isn't a solo activity, that's a single activity. I may be on my own there, and that might make absolutely no sense, but yeah, Norwegian are amazing for it, because they almost take solo travelling and make it feel really premium. So you get a host that looks after you, you get dedicated seats in the theatre every single night, which means that you can go and meet people and then show up at a normal time for the show instead of going really early, which has been a problem on here for us.
Less said on that, the better.
You then get like preferred dining, there's then activities that are on throughout the day in that solo lounge. So yeah, if you're considering a cruise on your own, I would 100% say that you should be thinking about companies like Norwegian. Now, that said, a lot of the other cruise lines, now that ships are getting ploughed out at the moment, are finding ways to fit solo cabins and more solo cabins into ships. And over the last probably 2 years, I've seen a lot more traction on the solo market, which has been amazing. And you've got companies like MSC, who, to be honest, were rubbish at solo travelling before COVID, because I did an MSC orchestra cruise. And honestly, how I went back to cruising after that, I will never know, because I ate dinner at a table every night that no one spoke my language, and it was just really awkward. So yeah, companies like that are now really good. So yeah, I've just seen a comment. Did you see that? Did you see that comment?
I never knew this existed.
Nope. Great, we'll get to that one. Emma, you're here, hello. Yeah, I've just seen a comment from my dad. You're going to really enjoy it. So we'll get to that in a second.
Excuse me while I just search for
Excuse Laura while she mutes the comment. But yeah, hopefully, I think it was Susie that asked that.
Oh, there we are.
Yeah, Susie, hopefully that's answered your question just
Great
before we move on.
Great question from Mr.
Now,
I was going to
moving
say
on.
I'm going to not do that.
Everyone can see all these comments.
Oh, great.
Totally fine. Actually, we should say, so my aunt signed into one of these lives and then she panicked because I was referring to people's names and she thought that everyone could see everyone who was on the live and she instantly signed back out. So if you are here, don't worry, Laura and I cannot see absolutely all of you. Anyway, where are we?
I saw the comment come in, and when I saw it come in, I thought, what a very specific question for someone to ask. And because of my poor eyesight, I couldn't see the name attributed to the comment. Now it makes complete sense.
So for anyone that's watching this back, my dad is asking, what's the best ship if you want to surprise your dad with a cruise? Well, I think it would probably depend how much money your dad's got in the account when you borrow his card, doesn't it? But I would say, to give you some context here, so my parents have never ever done a cruise before, and this is going to turn into a sales pitch now. So my parents have never done a cruise before, and I think my mum, anyway, I'm not totally convinced on my dad, but I think my mum would absolutely love a cruise. So
I would agree.
I think what the perfect kind of ship for you guys would be something like a Celebrity or something like a Princess, where you probably get a little bit more comfort, maybe. But what I would say is that if you were looking to go on your first cruise, as people like my parents...
Imagine they went on a cruise without you.
That was going to be my top tip. So my top tip was going to be that if you have a child that's into cruises, then I would definitely say you need to take them, because, yeah, your experience will be significantly benefited.
Yeah.
So my dad actually had this other question about what, those big balls that you see on the top of ships. So he was asking what they are, because we pulled in beside a ship the other day that had like 8 on it. And I think it's radar. So I think it's radar, but this ship that we pulled into had so many. So if anyone knows why there would be so many, I don't know, could it be internet? I have literally no idea. But yeah, so Dad, really looking forward to that holiday. Thank you for joining the live, and hopefully this background is putting you in the mood to go your first cruise with me. Can't wait for that. Tina, I never knew this existed, but I guess each to their own.
I reckon that's in relation to the speed dating.
The speed, yes, it would be in relation to... I thought that was maybe in relation to the solo cabins. I thought, that isn't computing. Yes, that would probably relate to the speed dating. If anyone's just joining us now, don't worry, we're not about to kick off any form of speed dating.
I can't think of anything I would like to do left.
So, yeah, and then Emma's just dropped in to say hello. So, Emma, welcome to the live. Emma's actually just back from a cruise that I think you would thrive on.
Okay.
So, I might have told you about this the other day, but basically this cruise, Emma, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm giving information here based on what I've picked up from various places. So, this cruise was in Europe. And it was a river cruise on, like, those long river cruise ships. So much smaller ship. It was family owned. So the family that own the cruise line sail the ship. So they're actually on it, and their dog is on it.
Oh.
And this ship, it'll dock in a couple of different ports per day. I mean, ports sounds like a stretch. It looks like small places it docks. And when it docks, you can get off. I need to be careful not to say this too positively, or my dad was going to think about booking this one. But you get off with a bike. And you can cycle
lovely.
to then meet the ship at the next port.
Oh, that could be nice.
Yeah, I think it looks absolutely brilliant. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe river cruising is on the horizon. Because my fear with river cruising is that from a demographic point of view, I would be like really young in comparison to the rest of the ship. But that one actually, because
Strap
it's so active.
yourself in for Cunard then.
Yeah, 19 nights on them is going to be interesting. So. Yeah, I think that would be very different, because I imagine it would attract a younger demographic. Emma, I've never actually asked you, did you actually find that it was a younger demographic? Tina, Emma, have your legs recovered from the cycling? So, Lindsay and Mark, what cruise would you pick as the ideal end to your year of cruising? Money, no object. Oh, we've had so many questions like this week, haven't we?
I think the one that you're doing is a really good one.
The QM2.
Yeah, just because it's such like a...
But that said, I'm doing the
final.
QM2, so remember the term money, no object? If money was no object, I wouldn't do the QM2 in an inside cabin, probably on deck 0.
Yeah, I mean, I did the QM2 in an inside cabin. I mean, I can confirm it's small and confined.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think if money... Do you know what? If money was no object, I think I would love to do an expedition cruise. Like, that to me, an expedition cruise is one that's on my bucket list that to be honest, I'm not sure if I ever will manage to tick it off just because of the sheer cost of it. That said, I do have a father that's looking at going on a cruise with his son. So
I've heard Antarctica's lovely.
Antarctica would be lovely regardless of the time of year. Lots of penguins. Yeah, we learned that at the aquarium. But yeah, I'd love to do an expedition cruise, and I would love to do Antarctica. I would either do something like that, or if I was looking at slightly more realistic, I would want to do a ship like Celebrity Flora. So Celebrity, I think it's still called Flora. Celebrity launched a much smaller class of ship where every single cabin is a suite, and they're all like minimum balcony suite. And yeah, they kind of specialise. I can see the laughing. They sort of specialise in like the Galapagos and things, which is definitely a part of the world that I would adore seeing.
Yeah.
So I think, what would you do?
Like yacht cruises.
Yeah, they could also be good, couldn't they?
What
would you do?
I'd do an expedition cruise.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say
For
that.
sure.
You can also do some amazing cruises
I'd have
that
to
take you to like South America and all
heavily
that.
medicate myself.
Yeah, I'm thinking, given the state you were in on Discovery Princess, heading to the Inside Passage, I don't know how you'd do going up there.
What's it called? The
Drake Passage.
Drake Passage.
Where is that?
Yeah, Drake Passage.
Drake Passage
I
looks
think I'd struggle.
horrendous. Lindsay, Mark, out of curiosity, what would your cruise line be, or what would your cruise ship be if money was no object for you? I bet you weren't expecting me to kick that back at you. Let's see where this goes. Juliana, so Fraser, what happens after your year of cruising? Any plans another year?
I will see you back at the office.
I so wish. So no, after this year, I am going back to the real world, I guess. So I'm going back to work. So I will be moving back into my house at the moment, the last week of December, which is going to be chaotic in itself in between Christmas and New Year. But yeah, so I will be returning back to the corporate world, which, do you know what, I'm actually really looking forward to. I think this year will be so good. Yeah, I think this year will be so good to like reset, totally explore the world, explore the industry, and I guess like kind of reset. So yeah, my plan is to return to work at the end of my year at sea. So from that point, my Instagram might get a little bit different. Yeah, maybe different content. We'll have to change it to Fraser on land. But,
Fraser sometimes on the sea.
Yeah, I mean, I live on a canal. If we could do anything with that, I don't know. Different type of boat, I guess. So what do we have here? So Juliana, have you done a Hawaiian cruise or Southeast Asia? I did one out of Singapore and it was awesome. I'm just going to turn my brightness down because I got a battery notification there. We can now hardly see ourselves, but we are still online. Hawaiian cruise, no, but I had planned to do Hawaii this year on, what ship was that? Princess. So I was looking at doing Princess out of Los Angeles over to Hawaii, but I didn't because there's quite a lot of sea days on that. So you basically do like 4 entire days to get to Hawaii. You then go round and then you do the 4 entire days back again. So for that reason, and also just due to the fact that they were charging a full double fare, I decided not to do that solo. But I would love to do Hawaii. So Ben and David are just back from there. And I mean, the photos that they've put on already look absolutely stunning. So no, haven't done Hawaii yet. Also haven't done Southeast Asia. But we were talking this week about what we'd like to do in the future. And do you know what? Somewhere like Southeast Asia could maybe work for us. Oh, Marilyn, hello. So before I read this comment, Marilyn is a lady that I met on Diadema, who we had dinner together every single night. Marilyn, I have been singing your praises on this ship, and I've
heard you had some altercations when sitting down in the theatre.
Yes, which we won't go into on this live, but Marilyn and I found ourselves repeatedly hunting for a seat in the theatre, and it would get to the point where we'd just say, we're just going to sit down, regardless of who's saving a seat
Who
for
said that, you or Marilyn?
It was me, and Marilyn encouraged, shall we say. I've also, Marilyn, continued eating unlimited portions of tomato and basil pasta on this
As
ship.
have I, actually.
As have you. You've got into it. We've actually just had it for lunch.
We did.
Yeah, it's very, very good. Anyway, let me actually see what Marilyn was wanting to ask her, because she'll be like, be quiet and go back to my question. So, do you know if Costa Toscana sails from Port Rashid? Oh, do you know what? Actually, Marilyn asking this question has reminded me that I didn't respond to her on Instagram. Hello. The reason why I didn't respond to you, Marilyn, was because I'm actually hoping to ask someone on the ship that question, But from memory, right, so when I got on World Europa in Dubai, there was a Costa ship, which now that I know a bit more, it must have been Toscana. I'm gonna tell this story and I'm gonna sound very, very posh. So when I was at the Burj Al Arab, which is a 7-star hotel, I wasn't staying there. I did a tour where you can go in, and from one of the big suites that they take you to, you can look down and see that other port, which is down by Dubai Marina, and the big Costa ship. I thought it was World Europa, but it was this ship now. It was docked down there. So at the point of last year, this ship was docking down the marina, but the other ships were all up at Port Rashid. Now, what I would say if you are planning to cruise from Dubai is that there's not a great deal happening up at Port Rashid, and most of the big hotels, you're going to find them closer to the marina. So I stayed on, I was going to say the QM2. What was
Queen
it?
Elizabeth?
The QE2, yeah. I stayed on the QE2, which is up at Port Rashid, and I felt as though I was quite far away from everything, to be honest with you, and you couldn't... Dubai, you can't really walk anyway, but I was always kind of 20 minutes away from everything. So if I went again, I actually would get a hotel either downtown or down somewhere towards the marina. And even if you are docked at Port Rashid, just put up with a longer taxi to go up on that one day. But yeah, what I will do, Marilyn, I'll try and Instagram you back. I will go down and I'll find... Hannah would probably know the answer to that.
Marilyn, I will ensure this happens.
Yeah, I'm going to be held to ransom now by Laura to make sure I get this answer. But what we'll do, we'll find out before we disembark in Barcelona exactly where this ship was docking in Dubai. And hopefully that'll help. Lindsay and Mark, yeah, we'd love to do an Antarctica cruise. Yeah, let me try and turn the brightness up. No. And we're back. I thought that was going to cut us off there. Yeah, Antarctica for me is absolutely on my bucket list. I'm just not convinced from a cost point of view. I could make it work really. But hey, look, we have got 3 minutes left. So before we wrap up fully, what question do I want to ask you?
I've got no idea.
You got a question for me that I can kick back at you?
I don't think so.
What would your biggest bit of advice be? Or would you recommend Costa for a Brit? Actually, that's a loaded question because that's a yes or a no. What would your top tips be for someone in the UK or the US considering a Costa cruise? That's probably better because we'll get a better answer.
My top tip would be understand what you want from a cruise so you can check whether or not Costa can deliver it. Because what we've learned on sailing on Costa is it is a very specific experience which has a huge amount of positives, but it's not like the other cruises I've been on.
Yeah,
so if I'd
different.
Very different. If I'd come on this wanting the same experience I had on Cunard or Discovery or Princess or Celebrity, which were broadly comparable experiences, certainly Princess and Celebrity.
Which is fine because they're all premium cruise lines.
Yeah, then I would probably be disappointed here. But Costa isn't trying to be that. So I think as long as you understand what you want, and then you can decide, does Costa deliver it? And if you want to go around lots of cities in the Mediterranean, you want to eat good food, you want to have a party at night, you want to have, to be honest, a budget-friendly cruise, this is a great cruise ship to do that.
Yeah, 100%. And I think when we say it is different to the celebrities and whatnot of the world, then like that's totally fine. The same way that if I drive a Mercedes, I'll get a different experience to if I drive a Fiat. Like they will deliver. It's a different product at the end of the day. And to be honest, cruising with Costa, I think has really shown me the difference that exists in the industry. And it's strengthened my belief now more than ever that there absolutely is a cruise for everyone.
There's a cruise ship out there for everyone.
Yeah, you just have to find it, and hopefully I can help you do that.
I've heard you say that phrase
so many times.
So many times.
That used to be how I opened every single video. I remember opening all of our Alaska recordings with that, and you were like,
believe
I'm so done.
There is a cruise line and a cruise ship
for everyone.
You just have to find it.
So yeah, anyway, I definitely believe that coming on here because actually what Costa are doing in a really clever way is they're opening up the cruise industry to some people who might look at it and actually, they might have thought that actually cruising wasn't for them because it's not lively enough or it's not, the ships aren't big enough. So Yeah, I think my tip would be just don't be too scared that English isn't the primary language. Like, yes, there's a lot of languages on here, but my fear was that the slightly, at times, introverted side of me would feel a bit excluded and a bit left out and a little bit on my own.
Which is charming, considering I'm here.
Oh, no, not this. Yeah, okay.
Fear of feeling excluded
all
and alone.
other cruises except this week, I thought I'd be alone. I knew that you had my back for this one. Yeah, so Laura has spoken to me occasionally on this ship. But the other one is I was a wee bit nervous with coming on, not speaking the language. So yeah, you've humoured me on this one and Marilyn humoured me on Diadema. Yeah. So yeah, between the two of you, I've got through. But yeah, what I would say is, like, don't be too scared that you don't speak the primary language on this ship, because actually, everything is still in English. It just takes a bit of time to get to it, doesn't it? Like, yeah. I think we found English is like the 4th language on here at the moment, where if an announcement goes out, it'll go out in like Italian, it'll then go out in French, it'll then go out in Spanish, it'll then sometimes go out in German, and then it'll get to English. So it's kind of 4th or 5th. So yeah, like, don't worry. And I think I saw one final comment there before we wrap up. Karen saying sharpen your elbows. Oh my goodness, we've had that conversation so many times. If by that you mean, Karen, get them out and go for it, then wait until you see my vlog from yesterday when we were fighting to try and get on the bus. Yeah, but yeah, we'll cover that in due course. Sean just saying hello. I found it interesting to learn about cruising in the European hemisphere. Oh, well, hopefully you've enjoyed. Hopefully you stick around and I'll show you more. Lindsay and Mark, thanks for a fun hour. And Laura, enjoy the rest of your cruise. We shall. But look, I think it's probably time that we wrap up then. And first of all, we should say a massive, massive thank you to each and every one of you that have given us, maybe you've dropped in for 5 minutes, maybe you've dropped in for half an hour, maybe you've stayed for the entire hour. However long you've given us, thank you so much. Hopefully you've enjoyed being here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and hopefully you've enjoyed being here.
Oh, I thought you were saying to me the first time.
And I thought you were saying absolutely for them. No. How's your first live been?
Quite an enjoyable experience.
Quite.
Yeah, I'd have liked more questions. That would be my only reflection.
From me?
No, from the people.
Oh, great. Well, there's your challenge set for next time. Make Laura pig sick with the amount of questions that I get on Rhapsody. But yeah, so look, thank you very much. Our plan for tonight is to head down. We're going to go to the main dining room tonight and see a show. And I'm hoping that when I go back to my cabin, my laundry's all arrived back so that I can pack it into my case. So yeah, I need to pack my case this afternoon. My laundry got put in yesterday morning, and as of right now, it's nowhere to be seen. So anybody out there, anybody and everybody, say a prayer that I'm going to go back and all my clothes will be there, otherwise Rhapsody is going to be a bit of an issue. Yeah, next up for me, I've got a couple of nights in Barcelona, followed by a journey across to Israel. So hopefully you'll stick around and join me on there. But for now, from a very bright and sunny Marseille, let's head up to sail away. And we will catch up with all of you guys soon. But thank you so much. Bye, guys.